Hi. Oh, there we go.
Ta-da!
Hello.
I'm back. Yeah,
Yes, awesome. Can I just ask another question?
of course.
Have you've performed in a boxing ring?
I have performed in a boxing ring.
Yeah. How
It
is
was
that?
great. It was so much fun. I got approached by these wrestlers that have, I think they were called like Northern Northern Queens or something, and it was FWF Wrestling or some WFW, something like that, wrestling. It's a wrestling group here in Finland.
Hmm.
And they were having a girls' night, basically. And so they
Mhm.
wanted someone to break up the act. So they got in contact with me. And I came up with a bit of a fighting routine because I was like, obviously going to do like Christina Aguilera's fighter. When else? What else am I going to do?
Uh-huh.
And when I turned up to the venue, I was sort of
Yeah.
I saw this boxing ring and I was like, can I go in it? And they were like, yeah, we want you to go in it. So I was like, holy shit.
Oh.
So they all wore these like specialized shoes. And luckily I'd brought sort of like a chunky heel. So then it was safe for me to go on the mat. So then it didn't pierce any holes in it. And
Mm.
I remember thinking either my ankles are going to roll because it was like, a different feeling underground. It wasn't hard, it was quite soft.
Right.
So I was like constantly thinking I'm going to fall over. But at the same
Uh-huh.
time, I was like, I can jump to my knees and it's not going to hurt because there's a bit of a spring
Mm.
to it. Whereas usually if I did those moves in a nightclub, I'm not walking the next day,
Uh-huh.
So
Really?
I went feral with it. I just had such a good time. I didn't really like, I just had a great blast and it was really interesting to get an insight into the wrestling world because it
Mhm.
has a lot of similarities to drag
Yeah.
from a performance aspect and storytelling and how they come up with the
Mhm.
moves and the improvisation of it all and things like that. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I really enjoyed getting
Okay.
to know that aspect.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, performing in a wrestling ring definitely wasn't on my bingo card for last year, but I'm glad it came up,
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
and I'd love to do it again because those guys were really sweet.
Mm.
And but this is why I love doing drag because I just, I do drag for the opportunities,
Right.
it gives me a chance to travel, it gives me a chance to meet different people from different areas, from different communities, from different walks of life that usually I wouldn't have the chance to meet if I was just my everyday self.
Right.
Um, and um, and so that was, the wrestling was definitely one of those moments. So
How is it like that I mean that this makes me like how is it kind of similar to boxing?
So like I didn't realize this, but like it was very much sort of like WWE style wrestling. So like there's,
Mhm.
rivalries and all of this like oh fuck you sort of stuff. So basically, and I don't know whether they'll kill me for telling people this, but I'm sure you can Google it.
Mhm.
A storyline is decided by a producer of the show, from what I understand. I might be wrong, so anyone listening can correct me. But basically, somebody else decides, other than the performers, who's going to win each match. And then the wrestlers have, they train very intensely. They're incredibly fit people. It's insane the shit that they can do.
Yeah.
Um, like fucking lifting people above their heads. It's like it's wild.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
but they have these characters, they have a certain outfit, they have a certain look, a type, how they speak, a way they perform whilst they're doing these moves, which is very much similar to drag because, in drag, we all have like a bit of a persona, a bit of an exaggerated form of ourselves,
Mhm.
um, which people grow to know and love. And so in wrestling, somebody will say, right, okay, you're winning the match today and so
Right.
they go, right, okay, cool. And then they have basically up until the production. So, like, it could be the same day they've just met this wrestler, and they'll go, okay, so we need to come up with a routine. But it's not
Right.
like two drag queens on stage lip syncing to songs. It's like, no, they have to throw each other over their heads. So they have like code names for all of the different types of moves that they can do, and everybody knows these different code names, and so they can be like, I don't know, I'm just going to make some up, but they could be like snake
Yeah.
bite, water bottle, throw
Hmm.
myself over there, ladder, this, that, and they'll memorize the order, and then they'll basically go out and do it. It's wild. I was so impressed by how quickly these girls and these ladies could pick it up.
Right.
Um, but
Wait, what is it that they do then with the words? That's
So
amazing.
they have like, it's almost like a code name,
Okay.
so like if they said a certain word, that's a certain move, right? So like almost like
Ah,
ballet, like plie, you'd do a
right,
plie.
right.
And so they have names for different moves that they do. Everybody knows the same moves, and then they basically come up with an order for how they want to do these moves, decide who's going to be what part of
Mm,
that move, whether they're going to be the person getting hurt or the person not getting hurt,
got it.
and then they just go for it. And they do get hurt, they get really hurt.
Mm,
Like they come backstage and they're bruised, or they might be bleeding from somewhere.
mm, mm,
And so when they're slamming to the ground and going ow, sometimes it really is like an ow, and
mm,
I know the lady that booked me for the wrestling gig, I think her name is Regina. She
mm,
recently had a knee injury that required her to get surgery, and so she's been out of the game for a little bit, and she was devastated. And as a performer, I can understand how devastating it is, because your livelihood, the thing that you love to do the most, the thing that you train for, to be out of commission for,
mm.
12 months while you're recovering, it can be really
Yeah,
difficult to cope with.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I think she does a lot of the producing side as well. So, she's still been involved in it, and a lot of her friends are in it from what I've seen on social media anyways.
Right.
But I think that's how it's sort of similar to drag. It's very much community. They all understand each other, what they do. They take it very seriously. The productions have got great value, like the very high value productions.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
um and they're just bloody talented. I wish I
Uh-huh.
could do that shit. I can't do that stuff. But it wouldn't, you know what? Some of them are
Uh-huh.
quite sexy, so I wouldn't mind just lying there on the mat and being like, "Oh no, she's gonna sit on my face."
Uh-huh.
So like, so I was definitely like, "Oh, good," like I can
Yeah.
learn that move. Like so,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it was
Very
good fun.
cool. Yeah. What else?
I'm sorry, I took it out of you there.
That's so cool. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's it's good to be taken out sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'd let any of those bitches take me out. It was great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed every second of that gig.
I can.
Um,
Yeah. Mm.
yeah, but it was just great to be around such strong people.
Yeah.
It was like I was like, I want to get fit. Like I want to be able to do that. Like what do you
Yeah.
mean you're just gonna throw that bitch over your head like she weighs nothing? There's nothing on
Yeah.
my arms. Like I'm very, there's
Yeah.
I, I'm not a dancer. So
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Wow.
but it was great. It was really good fun.
It is incredible. It's really inspiring too. It is. How is the production like? I'm so I was going to round it off, but how long do you have? Just so I'm not gonna like.
No, I've got all the time in the world, babe. You don't worry. I can go all night.
All right.
Um, so production in terms of what? Sorry.
Um, I guess now that you mentioned, in terms of when you are on stage, how does that work? How does that look like?
Um,
Or when you're behind stage, like when is there when is the production, or how does that look like?
for a drag
But-
performer,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Sorry.
so it depends, because
Hmm.
if it's just me, myself, and I'm
Uh-huh.
doing a show, and I've been booked by whoever, a local business. Um,
All right.
the production for me starts a good few weeks before the gig, especially if I'm going to be doing a new routine that I haven't done before.
Mm,
Because it's coming up with the idea,
right.
what's the story, what's the angle behind the performance, because I'm not one of these people that just likes to go out and lip sync a song. I like there to be a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a storyline for the audience to follow. And
Hmm.
then it's a case of coming up with the mix. So like
Hmm.
actually getting the quotes together, getting the music together and editing it so then it, all works as one.
Hmm.
Um and it will sound good through speakers in a club. And then it's the outfit. What the fuck are you going to wear? How are we going to get an outfit? How much money do you have for an outfit? Is this an outfit you're going to use again, or is this an outfit for a one-time gig? That can really change how
Hmm.
much effort and how much money you put into something.
Hmm.
Um, and what I try to do is I try to shop secondhand where I can.
Hmm.
I try to make as much as I possibly can because
Hmm.
it's cheaper than ordering things.
Right.
And usually I'm after something that's quite specific, and my drag body is also quite specific. It's quite
Hmm.
let's say unique. There's not many things I can just pick up from H&M or from, a local shop that will fit my body, because
Hmm.
my I wear padding so thick my ass is I struggle to fit through doors, so I have to make it
Right.
myself,
Yeah.
otherwise,
Yeah.
it's not going to
Yeah.
fit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, so and then once you've sort of done all of that, it's then a case of rehearsing. Rehearsing,
Mm-hmm.
there are some people that I've heard in the past say, "Oh, we don't need to rehearse our gigs, da 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 da. I just go up there and do it." I'm
Mm.
not one of those people. I like to know exactly what's going on. I make sure I know
Mm.
all of the lyrics to my songs,
Mm.
um, and really put my heart and soul into it, because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, someone's paying me to do this. And if I want
Mm.
them to book me again, I have to show that I'm the quality that they expect, and that I'm worth the money that they're paying.
Yeah.
Um, so, usually there's sort of like sometimes it'll be a case of me learning choreography. I have a
Mm.
couple of friends that are dancers, so I'll ask them to come up with
Mm.
something for me.
Okay.
And then I sit with my laptop and play it on 0.25 speed so then I can learn it at a snail's pace. And then
Mm.
sometimes
Yeah.
just as simple as knowing the beats. In drag,
Mm.
you kind of say, what are the beats to a song? And that doesn't necessarily mean like 1, 2, 3, 4. It just means, if you're planning an outfit and you're going to have two reveals and then you're going to bring out, I don't know, a prop. It's okay, at what point in the song are you going to do those things? Is there a
Mhm.
certain line you're waiting for? Is there a chorus? Is there a moment where the music changes that's subtle and you can just, take it off? They're the beats. And usually with drag, um, with a performance, you learn the beats for what you want to do, and then you can sort of, experiment with what you do in the other parts. As long as you get to
Mm.
that point, you're going to be okay.
Okay.
Um,
Mm.
so that's sort of
Yeah.
like how it works. But that's, all of that production goes in for maybe a 5-minute routine, and you go up, you do the routine, you come off stage, that's it. And so when people are like, "Oh, why would I pay you 200 euros to get up on a stage for 5 minutes?" It's like, because you have no idea how much work has gone in behind the scenes.
Mm.
I can spend weeks preparing for certain numbers. Um, and that's without taking in costs for travel and things like that.
Mm.
So there's a lot of producing that needs to go on. And then in terms of producing shows, that's like a whole different, there's like a whole other thing that you need to think about on top of that. So,
Okay. Yeah. Right.
that's when it starts to get a bit complicated. And then you're talking about like, oh, fuck, that really is a lot of work, So,
Mm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I see that. Yeah. Cause that's I guess that's what I always like have wondered if when I don't just speak to, for example, the theater, like how much
mm,
work there goes into, because there's the costumes and there's the
yeah,
play, and like how much you have to like practice for it,
mm,
and yeah, yeah, everything behind it.
mm.
That really
And,
fascinates me.
and I think the difference between sort of drag and theatre is
Mm.
that obviously there's a lot more sort of like improvisation, as
Mm-hmm.
well as that kind of like in the moment stuff. Something, someone in the audience might do something that you can
Oh,
react to, and you have to be able to adapt
oh,
quite
yeah,
quickly.
yeah,
A good
yeah,
performer will play on those moments.
yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and for some performers, improvisation can be in the moment. Suddenly, they decide they're going to do a jump split when they said they
Uh-huh.
weren't going to do a jump split because their doctor told them that their knees are fucked and they shouldn't do a jump split
Um,
anymore. But then they're just feeling it, and the audience is giving it, and they're like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'm going to do it," and so they
oh,
do it.
yeah.
Um, but on top of that, theatre has a huge team behind it, whereas as a drag artist, unless you have sort of like a drag family or drag friends, you
Mm,
kind of are a little bit on your own in terms of these things. And if something goes wrong on stage, if there's a malfunction with your clothes, there isn't somebody on the side of the stage usually who's going to run on and help you do that. If you fall over, you're on your own, bitch. You've got to figure it out. Like, how are you getting out of these situations? If the lighting is shit, which I've been to plenty of gigs where the lighting is awful, how are
mm,
you how are you going to use that to your advantage? If the
right,
lighting makes you look shit, is there somewhere you can go where the lighting is good? And there's some venues where the sound is shit. Now that's the
yeah,
worst one,
yeah,
because if
right.
you look shit, it doesn't matter because you can make up for it in your performance. So if the lighting is harsh and it makes you look like, really sort of ugly, you just
Mm,
perform your fucking ass off. But if
mm,
the sound is bad in terms of it's too quiet,
mm,
that's the worst, because nobody, I always say to people, nobody wants to hear a drag queen lip syncing, because if you turn that music off, all you can hear is as the lip syncing, and the like smacking of lips and like the heavy breathing because they've been smoking too many cigarettes, and clacking of feet on the ground, and like bones cracking as they're doing certain things. It's a horrible, horrible like sound. Uh,
mm,
so I always say to people, for the love of God, put the fucking sound up. If that's the only thing you
mm,
can do, whack it up to 11, you know? So
okay,
I'll perform in the rain if I have to, but don't make me perform with shit sound. So,
so it's
you know, but
oh,
it's, but yeah, that's sort of one of the differences between theatre productions and drag productions, is that,
mm,
you really are like putting yourself out there and being vulnerable, in the
yeah,
sense of,
yes, yeah,
you're stood there on your own doing this thing that you've prepared. So, it's always, there's no one else to blame. If something goes wrong, that's on you. If a malfunction happens with your outfit, you didn't practice enough
mm,
scenarios to get round that. If you'd have
mm,
done a full practice, you'd know that your hair might get caught in your zipper, that will stop
yeah,
it from coming undone, all this shit.
right,
Um, but it's also one of the things I love about drag, is that I always tell myself when I'm feeling nervous before I'm about to go on stage, or if I'm performing a new routine that might go wrong or something like that, I always say to myself, the audience is on your side.
mm,
They've come out on their Saturday night, they've paid entry to get in, and they've come to see you,
mm,
and they're here to support you, because otherwise they wouldn't be here. They're not here to judge you, they're here to have a good time. And regardless of what happens, you will give them a good time. So if
mm,
something does go wrong, which it can happen, it's happened to me before,
mm,
you know that they're going to cheer extra loud to help you get through that moment, until you figure out how the fuck you're going to get your hair out of this zipper, or something like that. Um, and that's what's really sweet.
mm,
And what's really nice is that,
yeah,
you get a few critical people, but you just tell them to fuck
mm,
off. They're
yeah,
like the people that critique couldn't do it as good
right in
as
the
you.
audience,
Yeah, yeah, and
yeah,
it can come from, audience members, it can come from different drag queens,
mm,
it can come from anyone really. And the thing is that there's no space, in my opinion, for that kind of behavior.
mm,
And I always stand up on stage and say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
right,
Because at the end of the day, a lot of people are doing it for fun. A lot of people are doing it for, queer liberation, um,
mm,
for their own self-expression. And how can you judge somebody's art? You know, what might be someone's fantastic, this is what I love to do, might not be my cup of tea, but then what I might do might not really do something for somebody else. Um, and that's totally fine because, you know, my partner likes Star Wars movies. I couldn't give a
Mhm.
shit about Star Wars movies.
Mhm.
I said, but you bang on a bit of, I don't know, Sex in the City, bitch, I'm all there for it. That's my tea. Like I'm fucking living.
Mhm.
So, you know, it's
Yeah.
those sort of things that and
Yeah.
it's that vibe that I'm trying to spread of like positivity and let's build each other up. We're all fighting for the same team here. You know, we're all
Yeah.
queer people in this space. We've all had to fight to be ourselves. Some
Mm.
people have had bigger fights than others. For some people, it was easy to come out. Others, it wasn't you know, it was difficult. So why are we spending so much time arguing amongst each other
Mm.
when the real enemy are the Christians that stand there with megaphones at every single pride I've ever been to?
Mm.
Why are we fighting when they're the enemy? Like, let's work together to
Mm.
tell them to shove it up their fucking asses and jog on. Because like there is no space for negativity in my brain.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I don't like to
Completely
partake in
agree.
it, and
Completely agree.
you know, um, because I do it because I love it, and if I
Yeah.
don't love it, I'm not going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Is
Um,
there? Yeah, go on.
no, life's too short to do something that you don't enjoy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so you know, I spent the first 20 odd years of my life living a life that wasn't the true me.
Mm.
why why would I waste any more time doing something that I didn't love, you know?
Mm.
And so that's why it's important for me to keep these spaces positive and try and spread this positive message and really practice what I preach. um because you know, drag queens and drag artists are a our spokespeople and our pillars of the queer community.
Yeah,
Even if we
they
don't want to
are.
be, people look up to us. So it's important to set good examples
Yeah.
for other people.
Yeah. Is there like do I guess they can do they like is there drags who like have a hard time like with, who compete or challenge with each other in that sense?
Yeah, there's always jealousy.
Mm.
It's
Right.
natural.
Mm.
It's a natural human response, you know.
Right. Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah,
And
how do
so
you yeah, how do you work around that?
me personally, it's taken a lot of work and a lot of therapy because
Mm.
I'm inherently quite a jealous person. Even the other day, my partner was like, "Oh, my mum's booked for us to go on holiday. Me and her are
Mm.
going on holiday. That my mum's paid for it all." And I was like, "Well, fuck you. Like
Mm.
where's my invite? Where's my mum paying for my fucking holidays, which she
Mm.
would never do?"
Right.
Um, and so it's a way of how do you navigate the jealousy? Why are you
Yeah.
jealous? Are you jealous because they've had an opportunity that you think you deserve more? Is
Yeah.
it because you want to be them? Is it because, it can be a number of things. And what I try
Yeah.
to do is when I find that I'm jealous of somebody,
Mm.
um, and I've been jealous of my very best friends before that
Mm.
do drag in Manchester.
Mm.
And I tend to look at the situation. I go, why am I feeling jealous? Is it
Mm.
because, and it tends to be, it's because I'm jealous because I want to do that. They're doing a thing
Mm.
that I want to do. And
Right.
so I have to think to myself, well, how did they get there? What is it that they do that has allowed them to do that I'm not doing? And so then it's a
Mm.
case of instead of being jealous, it's a case of like, okay, well, you know what? They're doing a really good job. That's
Mm.
why they've been booked for that gig. What I
Mm.
need to do now is step my pussy up, elevate myself, do these sort of things, get some more experience, and talk to this person and say, hey, you're doing a great job, clearly. You've been booked for this amazing gig. Fantastic.
Mm.
Super happy for you. I'm going to
Mm.
come and watch and support. And while I'm watching and supporting, I'm taking notes of they do that thing that I could do and I don't do, or their outfit's slightly different. That works really well. I really like that aspect. What can I take from their performance to help improve myself? And
Mm.
use it as a way to expand on my
Yeah.
knowledge and my understanding. And then suddenly I'm not jealous of them anymore because it's like
Mm.
I'm proud of where they are. You know,
Mm.
I'm happy for them.
Mm.
And it just helps me as an artist drive myself forward to constantly improve. So then hopefully one day I can get up to that level. And, you know,
Mm.
because jealousy is really like jealousy is not
Yeah.
attractive at all. I and I'm aware, you know, like I've had
Mhm.
partners I've been jealous with in the past, and you know,
Mhm.
it's not sexy. Jealousy is not
Yeah.
sexy, but it is natural. So,
Yeah.
you know, I can cope in it in a certain way. And, you know, after I got pissed off at my partner for having this free holiday, I stepped away from the phone call,
Uh-huh.
took a deep breath, made a fucking chocolate cake because I was like, I have free will. I can make a fucking chocolate cake if I want to. Didn't eat the chocolate cake because I did feel a bit shit. But then, you know, apologized and said, I'm sorry for getting upset.
Mm.
You know, this isn't something on you. You've done nothing wrong. I'm happy for you. It's
Mm.
all me. I'm taking responsibility and ownership for my feelings. Um, and actually, I'm really happy for you. And
Mm.
really, I'm just jealous because I wish I was going on the holiday. So
Mm.
what am I going to do? I'm going to book my own fucking holiday. So like,
Yeah,
so
there you go.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
sort of like how I deal with jealousy. I think,
Got it.
uh, but yeah, it's natural. Not everybody
Yeah,
is
it
in the
is.
fortunate position to have, you know, kind of like had the opportunity to go to therapy to be able to work this out. If I hadn't have gone to therapy, I would be sat here being like, "Fuck those bitches! I want that gig. I deserve it better." Meh, 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 meh. But
Mm.
you know, I some people like to go on fancy holidays. I prioritize my mental health. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so
Mm.
and it'll
Love
carry
to
me
hear
forward.
that. Love to hear
Yeah, of
that.
course.
Yeah, I therapy has been a gift for me too, definitely.
Mm,
And I think especially now here, I think just a couple of days ago I had this talk conversation with my girlfriend. I was saying, oh, I'm realizing that I'm having a huge moment right now. It's like
mm.
I was like, this is about jealousy. Oh.
Yeah, yeah,
Find myself in that embarrassed moment, but I'm like, oh, okay, then we'll just kind of like work that out, man.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's I don't know, that feels kind of like a coaching tip too. Is there something that you have um like used podcast read, or is it therapy? I've listened a lot to Mel Robbins myself, and I think that's like realized, oh, I'm jealous definitely about this or something. I gotta like dig
Um,
into that.
I think I think in terms of like where I've got this, it's definitely therapy. I've got all of
Mhm.
this from my
Yeah.
therapist. Shout out Danielle, ride or die.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is that I think a lot of it just comes from wanting to change the patterns of behavior that I didn't enjoy being around growing up. You
Mm,
know, it was a case of like I became an adult. I had my own three thoughts and free will, and going, I don't like that trait, and
mm,
I have inherited that trait. How do I get rid of it? You
mhm,
know, that's something I don't want to embrace in my life. It's not something that's going to bring me joy. It's not something that's going to make me feel closer to other people. Um, it's not a trait that will make people attracted to me in terms
mm.
of like just friends. You know, people don't want to be friends with
Yeah.
people that are assholes. um and so I've tried to, you know, I like to think I can be an asshole, but I try not to be an asshole, you know. So
Yeah.
usually I'm an asshole when I'm like, you know, like buy me a drink, bitch, you know, stuff like that. So it's like, you know, it's tame.
Totally.
But I take a lot of, you know, I surround myself by with some really fantastic people,
Mm,
who I trust, who have great mindsets, who are the people that put me, you know, if I'm having a bad day, you know, not just with jealousy, with anything, you know,
yeah.
I can speak to these people I surround myself with, and they'll fact check me, and I ask them to
Mhm.
fact check me if I'm starting to go off and be a little bit psycho, or you know, say something a bit nasty that's not within my nature. They'll be like, settle down, girl, like, you know, watch yourself, like let's remember all of these things. And I have a great drag family back in Manchester,
Mm,
and I've known them basically my whole life. So it's
yeah.
been, I'm on the phone to them every single day and I
Oh.
complain about everything to them. Even now I'm here in Finland and there's a 2 hour time difference. It doesn't matter. We're on the phone every day.
Mm, mm,
And so if something's bothering me, they're the ones that go, girl, fuck off, or like, okay, that is something to get upset about. How can we
uh-huh.
figure this out? Because they
Yeah.
know me better than anybody on this planet.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, that's it's nice to have surround yourself by positive people that you can role model yourself off.
Yeah, yeah. Surround yourself with the inspiring, great, yeah, positive people that you can role model yourself off. Yeah, I love
Mm,
that.
mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, thank you so much
No,
for
thank
for
you.
sharing too. I love that. Yeah, it's it's been a while since I've had a recording, so it's always like I love everything about the conversation, and I love how I learn so much and connecting.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, yeah, and
Because
yeah.
because what's your goal with the podcast? Like what is it you want to achieve with it?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I would love to at some point have a podcast. No, actually, what I'm kind of working on right now is turning it into a talk show. So I would
Oh,
want
fabulous.
to at some point have it like be able to like meet with people physically
Mm,
and eventually maybe have an audience. But I'm kind of feeling with how that idea is because I don't know, like when I look at talk shows, it's a very different kind of content in terms of
mm,
the kind of deeper and longer kind of conversations that I really love to have,
mm.
and what we create from it. So but yeah, that's something that I'd love to
Yeah, that's
look
really cool.
yeah.
And what's your focus? Like, are you focusing on mainly performers and the creative space, or?
Yeah, it's kind of very wide. Um yeah. I
You're
don't
just
know.
taking everything at the minute. You're just like,
Yeah, I feel like I'm like everyone who like creates or does something in a different way, who's creative and I find inspiring. Someone who's like, I don't know, thinks differently with things, and I can see that in how they kind of do things and share their
mm,
work. It's Yeah, that's what I love because yeah, doing things in kind of new senses inspires me a lot.
yeah.
So yeah,
No, it's great. Like I
yeah,
said, this is why I do drag, because I get to meet cool fucking people who do
right,
cool
that
things,
too,
you
exactly.
know. And so, yeah, I think it's great that, hopefully we'll meet in person one day. I'm
I
sure
would love
Minna
to.
Minna is one of those people. She'll make it happen. We'll
Uh-huh.
we'll we'll
I
probably you'll probably get a message out of the blue one day, and we'll be like, "Hey, we're next door," and you'll be like, "What the fuck's going on?"
I would
So
love that. I would love that.
yeah,
Absolutely. Love that.
but yeah.
And I would also love to have you on again, maybe both of you for like a kind of we can chat about that and talk about that if you love that.
That
Yeah.
would be great. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna warn you. Me and
Okay.
Minna haven't had a phone call that's less than 2 hours long.
Oh, okay.
So if you wanna get us on a call, just prepare yourselves because we
All
are
right.
like "Bah, bah, 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 bah," all
I'll
the
do
time.
that.
So like prepare a few Zoom links because we were gonna rattle through them like crazy. But
All right.
I'd be totally up for
Cool.
that. If you need
Okay.
anything, if you want any contacts at all, I'm happy to help you out. Just let us know if there's
Hmm.
any way or anyone that you want to get in contact with.
Hmm.
Because it's really cool what you're doing. And
Well, thank you.
thank you so
Okay.
much for coming to little old me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, thank you so much.
no worries, babe. No worries at
Okay.
all.
Awesome. Well,
Cool.
we'll talk.
Yeah, sure. I'm excited to see how this turns out. And have a good rest of your evening for now. Enjoy your
Thank
Friday
you.
night.
And you too. You too.
Yeah, I will. Don't you worry. Cool. Right, well, take care. I'll speak to you soon.
You too. Hi.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.